would be fair to say that Marty Raybon has left his mark on the world. Among other country artists, he is considered to have one of the purest natural voices in the business. After 3 decades as a performer, he's had #1 hits, top-selling albums, and tons of awards. Now he's back on the charts with new music on Rural Rhythm Records. In the span of 2 weeks, he released not 1, but 2 new projects. So Kelly Lynn headed into the studio to hear all about that new music.
I've caught up with Mr. Marty Raybon from Shenandoah, but now these days you are a busy man. You got a whole project right now that's just come out, just released, and a new record label home. Tell me a little bit about your record label home.
Well, I'm proud to be a brand new family member of the wonderful label Rural Rhythm. Sam Passamano and his family has invited me, and I literally do feel like family. I mean, that's really kind of what they do. And when Sam came to town, he came to town as pretty much a gentleman that had some bluegrass acts, that had really been working the bluegrass music and working the records with several different acts. And then all of a sudden, with the back catalog that he had from Rural Rhythm, Uncle Jim, that kind of stuff, then all of a sudden he wanted to venture out. That was a vision that he'd had for a long time, and he wanted to launch a Christian division. So we talked, and of course, when I initially had talked to Sammy 3, we had talked about doing a bluegrass album, because that's what I do a great deal of. In the summertime, a lot of the bluegrass festivals and stuff. And anyway, he said, my dad would probably like to talk to you. So the next thing I know, we were doing instead of doing a bluegrass album to start with, we were doing a Christian album. So it really kind of worked out pretty good, because it really kind of fit in, and it really was one of those kind of things. It seemed like, when you hear people say it's a God thing, at the time, Mark Carmen and myself were actually working on some gospel tracks that we were doing, and the next thing you know, here's Sam, and that's what he wants to do. So by the time we had opportunity to play him stuff, and it just kind of seemed like it everything just kind of all fell into the same place. So then you do a tune like I've Seen What He Can Do, and you realize that literally everything that's in and around you, is something that needs to be said. So therefore you get that, and it's not really creative control as much as, when you say, I want you to hear this one, they go, look, man, just keep doing what you're doing.
That's
because apparently this is working, so then the next thing you turn right back around, and we do the working on the building thing, and then you've got to move, and we've got an absolutely wonderful ballad that was written by a dear friend of mine, Barry Hutchins, A Bright New Morning. Another one that was wrote by Wendell Mobley and Neil Thrasher, You Get Me. And all of that's
I love that song. I know that song.
Anyway, it's just it's an absolutely wonderful collaboration of music, and I think Mark Carmen done an absolutely wonderful job on the production, and I was fortunate enough, and I literally mean this too, I was fortunate enough to be able to sing them, and it was just again, it was just one of those kind of things that all kind of came together, and literally, look, I know that Rural Rhythm came into my life for a reason and a purpose, and they say as I did the same for them.
I've never seen the face of God.
Gerald Crabb and I also had written a song together called Walking with God at a Guilty Distance, and I'd heard a pastor from Woodstock, Georgia, make that statement. Johnny Hunt made the statement. He said, you're a little cold, and you're a little calloused, and you're a little indifferent and stuff like that. And he said, you let your prayer life get away from you, and your reading has kind of slipped away a little bit, and you've kind of drifted a little bit. And he said, what it is you're involved in some things now that you really wish that you were not involved in. And you find yourself in church, you find yourself doing all the right things that looks right, but you're walking with God at a guilty distance. And I thought, man, my goodness.
Walking with God.
Can't wait to hear the project.
Well,
congratulations on your new label home.
Well, thank you. And I enjoy being there, as we said earlier, but I truly love the people that are a part of it. And I thank you for your time today to let me kind of hawk my wares as far as the record, but also to really actually kind of tell you how I felt about some of the tunes too. Thank you for letting me be a part of it.
Thank you for sharing it with us. Mr. Marty Raybon, everybody, on Inside Music Craft.
Now it's time for our weekly songwriter tip brought to you by Nashville Songwriters Association International. This week we sit down with Richard Helm as he talks about paying attention to the music.
I encourage songwriters in Nashville to spend as much time on their music and their chord progression and their musical hooks as they do on the lyric. The reason for that is I think in Nashville sometimes the lyric is focused on at the expense of the music, and as my friend Cheryl Blackman likes to say, it all begins with a groove.
To learn more about NSAI, visit NashvilleSongwriters.com. That's about all the time we have for this week's show, but don't forget that special gift set we have up for grabs for Marty Raybon, including both of his recent releases on Rural Rhythm Records. Enter online at InsideMusicRow.com. Don't forget to check out our Facebook page too for all the latest news and events going on around town. We're going to leave you today with the latest from Marty Raybon. Here is I've Seen What He Can Do. Until next time, I'm Bailey for Inside Music Row, and I'll see you again real soon.